Alright, I'm back, and yes, I know. Yes, I know. I've been gone for a while. I've been gone for like 2 months. Yeah, that won't happen anymore. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But we're gonna be looking at My Story Animated today. So let's just look at some of the titles. I'm the I'm the real life Elsa? How does that even work? How does that even work? Like, I'm actually confused how that even works. Let's look at their most popular one. It's called I Followed My Crush to the Basement Instantly Regret. What? Alright. What is this, a Darman? Instantly regrets it. But I thought you guys were supposed to be original. Let's look at the one we're actually watching. I used hearing aid secret. I used hearing aid secretly. Aren't you like supposed to, isn't it I used a hearing aid secretly? Anyways, I'm done. Let's just watch this horrible content.
I can't believe my mom would do this again. She's walking into the house with another brand new designer handbag. My dad would go ballistic if he found out she's been spending money on purses again. My mom has a serious shopping addiction. She tries to hide it from us, but she talks to her fancy friends about it all the time. She thinks I can't hear her because I'm deaf. Well, surprise, I can. Since I was 7 years old, my hearing started to deteriorate. It's because of a rare ear disease. By the age of 10, I was completely deaf. We tried operations and treatments, but nothing worked. I had to go to a school for students with hearing and sight disabilities. It was extremely traumatic. I had to learn sign language and reading lips. Luckily, I made a few good friends. I felt really miserable. One day during break time, I fell to the ground in tears. I couldn't believe that I would never be able to listen to music again or hear anyone's voice. My friend, Rosie, pulled me to the side. She was acting really strange. I have a secret.
Alright, I know music is cool. Music is tight. Music is fun to listen to. But really, when you're crying, screaming on the floor that you're deaf and you're crying over music, I don't think that's. You should be crying over you're not going to be able to hear anything anymore. Not about you can't listen to music. I think not being able to hear anything or anybody saying anything to you is more important than not listening to music. That's just my take.
She mouthed. From her pocket, she
Oh my god, your friend pulls you out to like go show you something and this is the face you make?
took a hearing aid. It's really powerful, she mouthed. Give it a try. At first I was hesitant, but what did I have to lose? To my shock, it worked. I could hear birds and cars. I could hear Rosie laughing. It was a miracle. Rosie gave it to me and said, keep it until you feel a bit better. I decided not to tell my parents about it. I was sure they knew something like this existed, and they never bothered.
It can't just be me that thinks it's weird that you're just taking something from somebody. Like, even if I'm deaf, I'm not gonna take a hearing aid from a random person. I think it might just be me, but I think it's just weird to take anything, even if you need it, from a random person, even if it's from school, even if it's from one of your friends from school. I think it's just still weird. I know it's fake and all. It's still weird to take the stuff from people.
My parents about it. I was sure they knew something like this existed, and they never bothered to buy me one. Also, I wanted to know if they kept anything from me. That night, I could hear my parents fighting about money and purses. I'm making all the money, and you're spending it on handbags, said my dad. Oh, honey, it doesn't cost that much. You know that. It's all for the show. Even though it was really great to hear again, I didn't like listening to my parents fighting. But nothing could prepare me for the secrets that I would find out next. That night, my parents got all dressed up. My mom was showing off her new glittering designer dress.
What's wrong with your mom? Like, I know plastic surgery is big, but like, this is hardcore.
Off they went to a fancy dinner at some rich guy's house. My dad was only a small shop manager, and my mother stayed at home. Where did they get all that money from? Luckily, I was old enough and didn't need a babysitter. I watched some TV with the sound turned to full volume. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. I got a fright and switched off the TV. The knock became louder and louder. I looked through the peephole. It was a lady. She seemed distressed. It's Mia. Open up. Open up. They're looking for me. Everything in my body told me not to open the door, but I did it anyway. I had my sign.
No. What's this girl's name? Daisy. I'm just gonna name her Daisy. Why are you opening the door? Why are you opening the door? I already bet something bad's gonna happen in the story. I can already predict it. But how are you making it so obvious that it's fake? Because how's Mia gonna believe you? Aren't you supposed to be deaf? How can you hear the knock? Like, you have the hearing aid, but how can you hear the knock?
Looked as though she hadn't slept in days. I guided her to the couch. She seemed harmless, so I made her a cup of tea and gave her some leftover pizza. She said, "Thank you," but I shrugged my shoulders, pretending not to know what she was saying. In a matter of moments, the lady fell asleep. She was snoring so loudly. Finally, my parents came into the house. They were arguing again. My mom said, "If you didn't give it all away, we'd be rich by now." To which my dad replied, "If you would have just stuck to the plan, I wouldn't have given it all away." Then they saw me. "Honey, you're still awake." I pointed to the sofa. My mom was completely shocked. Mia, what are you doing here?" My dad used sign language to tell me that it was my mom's childhood friend. Then he told me to go to my room. So I did. I tried to listen to my parents and what they were saying when something really weird happened. My hearing aid started to buzz. It made these strange noises like a radio tuning into a station. Was I picking up signals? It doesn't seem like Mia will be coming out of that house tonight. I quickly jumped to look out of the window. A black SUV was standing outside. 2 men were sitting in the front. It looked like one had a hand radio. I heard them talking. "Let's go. We can catch up with her tomorrow. We don't want them seeing us." The SUV drove off. A few moments after the 2 guys left, I could see my parents and Mia walking to her car. They opened the trunk and removed 5 big black bags from it. My dad said, "We'll keep them in the safe." Did we have a...
What am I watching? What am I watching? Like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Like, I'm just watching the story, and I completely have no idea what's happening. I'm like, there's these guys, and then there's these random girl. I don't know. I'm just gonna...
I followed them and hid behind the door. My dad moved a heavy bookcase out of the way. Behind the bookcase was a huge door with a lock pad. What could be in there? Jewelry? A few sentimental pieces? He punched in a 6-digit code and the giant door opened up. Inside was a small room. There was money stacked from the floor to the ceiling.
That is not stacked from the floor to the ceiling. Like, if you're gonna say something and make a story fake, at least have some logic. Like, you're just straight up lying.
I gave a big gasp. My mom must have heard me. She turned around, but I quickly hid behind the door. "Throw the bags in there for now. Let's sleep on it, and we'll figure out what to do with it all tomorrow." My parents offered Mia to sleep on the couch. Later that night, I heard my dad tell my mom, "We need to get rid of Mia. She knows too much." My mom agreed. What were they going to do to Mia? And what were they hiding? In the early morning hours, I heard a commotion coming from downstairs. It was still dark outside. I had to investigate. The sound was coming from my parents' safe. It was Mia. She was filling a backpack with cash. She probably cracked the code. I turned on the light. She looked at me.
I'm telling you, this is why you don't let people in your house. Like, why would you open the door in the first place? If you'd never opened the door, none of this would have been happening, and you wouldn't be getting robbed. Like, don't do this, all right? Like, don't do this. Like, this is flat out dumb.
I just can't always hear so well. She looked at me with a soft smile and sighed. "Well, come here and I'll tell you everything." Somehow, I felt sorry for this lady. She looked completely lost. As I walked towards her, she was putting the backpack on her shoulders. Completely oblivious to what she was planning, I moved closer. With a big push, she shoved me into the safe and closed the door. The safe was completely soundproof. I started knocking on it and kicking, but nothing. It was really tough. Luckily, there was a damp light inside. I was surrounded.
I can't watch any more of this. Let's just get to the end. I'm just gonna skip to the end. All right, this is horrible.
"Never come back. Promise me. Promise." The 2 men were nodding their heads and shaking. At that moment, my mother opened the safe's door. The 2 men rushed out of the safe screaming. My parents didn't even notice me. They ran after Stefan. They were probably in such a state of shock that they left the safe's door open. I could finally escape. As my parents closed the front door, I pretended to have just woken up. "Hello, honey. Did you sleep well?" they hand-signed. I nodded yes, pretending to rub the sleep from my eyes. I never told my parents that I heard all their secrets through my powerful hearing aid. And that Monday, I asked my parents if I could get this kind of hearing aid, but they said it's too expensive. I couldn't believe that they lied to my face. I knew how much money they had hidden in that safe. At school, I returned Rosie's hearing aid. Perhaps it was better that I didn't know about my parents' secret fraudulent business. Or maybe I should take some money.
All right, so what did we learn today? So we learned out that I'm never watching this channel again. YouTube, I feel like, is coming to an end, and My Story animators have no logic, and this channel is flat out garbage. And don't open the strangers for random people. Anyways, that is the end of the video. That's gonna wrap off the video. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I won't go ghost on y'all no more, and I'll try to daily upload for the next week. If I don't, I'll at least get another video out this week. And yeah, I'm out.